Well, welcome back to the Unapologetic podcast, our post-Christmas edition. My name is Brandt Merritt.
I'm Jonathon, Woodyard.
We are your hosts back again for 2025. Welcome to the new year.
It is a new year. I had a birthday yesterday, so
You did.
2025 means I'm 45 years old now.
Wow.
So
I'm not. So.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
No, catching on yet. How was your birthday?
That's fine. Didn't do much of anything. I didn't feel great yesterday, so I came in though on medicine, worked, but went home. Just wanted to relax. The family wanted to go out, maybe eat, do things like that. And I was like, hey, let's just relax, watch a movie, stay home,
Nice.
and order Taco Bell. And that's what my birthday dinner was: 2 chalupas and a soft taco.
Are you ground beef, chicken?
Ground beef every time.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's my favorite Taco Bell meal. 2 beef chalupas and a soft taco to wash it down with.
There we go. Well, for all the students who wonder what to get you for
Yeah.
a last meal.
They know there's kind of a running joke if you say there's a Chick-fil-A and a Taco Bell next to each other and I have to stop to eat, where am I eating? They will tell you I'm going to eat a Taco Bell.
Oh, wow. Okay, I learned something. That's good. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, so we had 2 weeks off for Christmas. We
Yep.
did an episode right before Christmas, so it's been 3 weeks ish. How was it? How was your break? But even just thinking through that, I mean, 2 weeks off for us is a different. Most places don't get
Sure.
2 weeks off from a work standpoint. So I think for both of us, it was probably a good chance to recharge, rethink through what we're looking at for the spring semester. I'm sure for our students, it was a chance to get home and relax, and they obviously get more than 2 weeks. But from your side, how was break?
Break was good. We traveled to Kentucky. My family's in Kentucky. Gina's mom lives in Kentucky. So it was good to travel home. My boys spent time at my mom and dad's. We spent time there, I think, 3 or 4 days. Did Christmas morning there with them. My brother's family, my sister's family usually come in, and sometimes we work it out to where we're all together. But we didn't do that this time, so it was just us, which was kind of nice. I mean, it's quieter because when you get 3 families in my mom and dad's house, not very big place, and then we're all on top of each other, and it gets loud and crazy. And so it was nice just to relax with my mom and dad, spend some time with them, with the boys, hang out with the grandparents. So enjoyed that. Then we went to Gina's mom, lives in Lexington, Kentucky, the home of the University of Kentucky, and we're avid Kentucky basketball fans.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good to be there. And then my oldest son, Calvin, had a chance to go to Rupp Arena and watch the Cats play. So it was a lot of fun for him. So it was a good break. It was good to see family, good to travel back home, and to rest a little bit. But you kind of never turn things off completely. It's hard to completely turn off from work. So just trying to think through, not just this semester. I don't know how your departments run, but for me, when we get into the spring semester, I'm thinking about summer and fall of next year. So the spring semester, we've kind of mapped everything out for this semester back in the fall. So in the fall, we're spending time looking at the calendar, the events for next semester. So we're always trying to stay a semester ahead of what we're trying to do. So for me, it's an opportunity to there's some things to think through for this semester, some changes we want to make in terms of our staffing structures, things like that. But none of that's going to operationalize probably until the summer or until the fall. And so trying to map out some of those directional things for me is it's not burdensome. I enjoy to have a little bandwidth where I don't have anybody popping in my office or nothing immediate to do, to be able to step back and kind of dream about the future in the next month or so, or the next semesters or so down the road. So I enjoyed that. So it was a restful break, but I didn't stop working necessarily. I was thinking through things, had my pad of paper, writing things out, sent some emails. So, but it was restful. At the same time, I'm sitting in the recliner. I'm watching basketball, watching football. Yeah. And then Gina and I is our 20th anniversary this year. We got married in December. So December 28th is our anniversary. And so we headed off to San Antonio, left our kids in Kentucky, went to San Antonio, and spent 5 days in Texas, driving around. We ate in San Antonio, did the river walk, but then we just kind of drove around to some random small towns in the area and enjoyed Tex-Mex.
There you go.
So, that was restful. I didn't do a lot of work while I was there. I mean, we were on the go doing things, so I didn't do a lot of work while I was in Texas with her, which is probably a Smart thing.
Probably a smart move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
What about you? What about your break?
We stayed pretty local.
Yeah.
My wife's family, her parents are in Nixa. Her grandmother's in Springfield. They moved up from Florida when we moved up here. So we saw them for a day, but then really just kind of hung around the house. So my wife is working with one of the ministries in town, COM, here. So she still had some hours to
What's COM?
Community Outreach Ministries. Yeah. And if it's funny, they just started going through a mission statement exercise in the past week. And I think a lot of their stuff right now is very prominent about food insecurity and food bank. Yeah. And they do a lot more than that. And they're realizing they need to be more explicit, kind of how they communicate what they do.
When I think of COM, I think of the food bank.
Yeah.
But there's so much
more. I mean, it's a huge thing. I mean, they've done from a whole range of things, but even one tangible, they've taken over all the recycling for the local community because the recycling space that the city was operating is now being taken over by the utility in town. So they had to find physically a space to do recycling. So COM offered some warehouse space, but then they also can get now a cut of the revenue because they're managing the recycling part. So they do that. They do a lot of training and workshops for people trying to get back on their feet, get out of tough situations, joblessness, homelessness. So they're not a homeless shelter by any means, but they do a lot of programming to help people get back on their feet. And kind of the approach of teach a man to fish rather than just give a man a fish to help them really manage their lives. So hung around so she could still do some work, and kids were off school. So we got a PlayStation 5.
I saw this. I think you sent me a picture.
Christmas, and my girls and I spent a lot of time playing Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy, which they really got a kick out of. So that was a whole new world for us over the break. And so it was nice, relaxing. But same with you. I mean, we're not as semester ahead because I'm working with trying to get students just here next week for the start of classes still, and then another 8 weeks for another half term. And then we're working with students throughout the spring to get him here for next fall. But from the marketing side, I am thinking ahead because, the messaging that we are going to use for the fall of 26 students, we really need to nail down here now of what that is going to look like. And just some broad things even about the university of how do we want to talk about the brand? How do we want to position ourselves in the market? If we're going to use the technical marketing terms, but little things like we've talked a little bit of, are we a liberal arts university? And we are in a lot of ways, but then just the idea of liberal arts doesn't mean the same thing to different people. And some people just in a highly politicized culture see liberal in liberal arts, like, well, you're a liberal university, and
that's not what
which is not what
means,
we are, and is not what it means. But I spent some time just with moments to think of, like, are there different ways we could talk about that? Like, we're a holistic university, or we teach from this worldview, and in ways that we can kind of make it a little clearer for more people to understand what we really do, as opposed to just some of these catchwords that maybe don't have the same meaning that they used to have.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So when you talk about positioning ourselves in the market, can you explain some of what that means? What are we thinking through?
Yeah.
What is that?
And it's going to be different for every organization. I mean, for us, we have different markets that we're in. So we are in a market for traditional undergraduate higher education. So high school students that are graduating, looking to go to a college for a traditional 4-year bachelor's degree program. Those students, those families, that's a market that we're serving. We're also serving graduate students who want to get a doctor of physical therapy program, a doctor of physical therapy degree, and become a physical therapist. That's a different market than the traditional undergraduate high school student. And then we have physical markets that are different. We have a Springfield market, we have the Bolivar market, we have the Midwest market. So in all those different things, you have different audiences. And we have to create messaging that resonates with each of those audiences. And so it's segmentation is a word that you will hear a lot with that. Personas, each of those different groups of people are a persona that you try to craft the right message that speaks to their needs, their desires, and sort of where they are. And so that's what we do. We spend a lot of time on, a lot of our ready to lead messaging that we've got around campus is on the main Bolivar campus, is where you see it primarily, but that is more of a universal message. We want to talk about nurses who are ready to lead, business people, accountants, pastors ready to lead in their careers. So we have some messaging like that that's more universal. But then we have, with our Mercy partnership in Springfield, healthcare with a higher purpose and trying to show tangibly how people can switch careers into nursing out of what they're doing. So there's a lot of things that we do that become really granular for specific groups. And then we have the global type of things that we're working on for the whole university. So it's a lot.
That's a big
things.
Job. It's a lot of stuff going on.
It is. Take some time to think through.
Yeah, you're doing that. And then on top of managing communications for the university, just on day-to-day stuff, or we're closing campus because of ice, you've got to get those sorts of things ready too. So it's never a dull moment.
Yeah, that's one reason why we were not both completely off over the break, because we're having to make decisions over the weekend of not either make or communicate decisions about those things. So,
and maybe with snow tomorrow or tonight, we'll have to communicate something tomorrow. So
most likely, that's my guess.
So there's always at the university level, any institution like this, there's immediate things on the ground, things you got to think about now, things you got to communicate now, things you got to get ready for next week, next month, but also trying to think through what's next semester, next year look like. That's one of the things I like about the job. There's now, but there's an opportunity to step back and think about, okay, I've got to think about August of 25. And that's fun, the dream stage. So enjoy getting to do it.
Yeah, in some ways it's a moving target, but it's an energizing moving target. Yeah. And we're both passionate about the kind of work. So that's what makes it easier. Well, if we look at this semester in particular, I know part of what we wanted to talk about was just kind of previewing what is coming. And so that's from an event standpoint, but also, some strategic things that we're working on. So maybe starting with one that we talk about a little bit longer, you're going to get the opportunity to teach this semester, a class that used to be called spiritual formation, I guess.
It's still called spiritual formations for now. The content is changing this semester. The title, because it's already in the catalog, won't change until next year. So the content will change this semester. It's my first opportunity to teach it, and really everybody that's teaching what used to be spiritual formations now are having to kind of redevelop the course. And so moving it to more of an introduction to Christianity. When you look at the type of student that we get, we're an open enrollment school. You know that. You don't have to be a Christian to come to school here. We get a lot of kids that come from Christian homes or Christian backgrounds, but we also get a lot of students that don't have a Christian background. We also get a lot of students that come from a Christian background but aren't quite rooted very strongly in their Christian faith. And so if you ask them some of the basics of Christianity, they may not be able to answer some of those questions. So just looking at the kind of cultural landscape, the type of student we're dealing with, it seemed like a good time for the Redford faculty to think through what that spiritual formation class looked like. How can you go into a classroom, talk about kids in terms of spiritual formation, spiritual disciplines? This is how you grow in your faith when they don't really have a faith or they don't understand their faith. And so they wanted to back up and say, hey, let's do something more along this kind of introduction to Christianity. What do Christians believe? How do Christians behave? What do Christians do? Present that type of content in the classroom and really give a robust kind of foundational understanding of what Christianity is. I think if you look at the culture in the United States, I know in 1948, 2% of the culture identified as what's called nones, Nones. That they have no religious affiliation. So when you ask them on a survey, what religious affiliation, they would check the box none. I don't have any, right? So that's 2% in 1948. 2023, it's 22%. So a 20% increase. That's a huge number, right? So you've got this increase of this kind of self-selected, I don't identify with any religious background, and then traditional Christianity, that number is sliding here in the West of how many people actually identify with it. So you put all those factors together. You're an open enrollment school, the type of student you're getting on campus, and we think, man, this is a great opportunity for us to offer a really robust introduction to what Christianity is. So I'm excited to step into that class, having kind of to write all the content. Not from scratch necessarily. I've taught some similar things, particularly when I was at Bethlehem, the school I was at before here. So using a lot of those things, but really having to craft Like, what is the content? What are the notes? What are the things I want to highlight? You can't teach everything. It's only a 2-credit course. So you get 2 class periods a week.
I would imagine that's the hardest thing for you is to try to edit this down into something that can just be in one semester.
Yeah, I had a friend, a colleague stop in the office the other day. I was doing some writing, and he said, "Hey, how's class prep going?" And I said, "I don't think my problem is amount of material. I'm trying to figure out what do I really need to press in on in the time that I have, because you get 50 minutes on Tuesday, 50 minutes on Thursday, and then that week's done. It's not much time. No. So, thinking through content stuff. And so we're going to do, one of the things I want to do at the very beginning of that class, do a little introduction to, church history. Can you really talk about what Christians believe? Because don't we disagree on so much? So can we even ask the question, what do Christians believe? So do a little conversation about theological triage and our agreement on essential things or first tier matters, and then disagreement maybe on second, third tier matters, and then get into a little bit of church history with them, not much, just like how did we get to where we are today. But then I really want to dive into the Bible, because everything we're going to talk about in that class is predicated on the fact that we believe the Bible is the Word of God. So this is God's Word. And so when you talk about what we believe, then the final rule of our faith and practice is the Bible. So, what is the Bible? Where do we get the Bible? Those sorts of things before moving to the doctrine of the Trinity and understanding who God is, God's attributes, talking about things like the church, the gospel, really unpacking the gospel over several weeks. I'm excited to do that. What is the gospel? What are the components of the gospel? Justification, those types of discussions. So excited about lots of that content. Human identity is one I know you've been reading.
Well, yeah, because I was asking that earlier. There's a lot of, you could make it almost a systematic theology type of course. Like pick a topic, what do Christians believe about it? How's that developed over time?
Sure.
But yeah, is what I was asking you earlier. I've read a lot of, Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self. I'm starting to read Keller's Reason for God, finally, after all these years. So it's an apologetic type thing, or what's the soil that we're all planted in, and not just the world planted in, but that we're planted in from this postmodern individualistic idea. And so it sounded like you were going to incorporate some of those things of how does our modern self interact with the Bible, and how are those truths still relevant for us, but then how can we integrate that into the current cultural moment? Because it's different than it was 500 years ago.
Yeah, I think, to make this class really relevant and dive into some of what students are dealing with, but humanity's always dealt with, is this kind of idea of identity. Who am I? Why do I exist? So identity, purpose, those discussions. And Christians have a particular answer to that, right? Yeah. We talk about the image of God. Who are human beings? Well, first and foremost, we are those who are created in God's image. We are not God, but we are like Him in certain ways. We are meant to reflect Him. John Piper would say that there's like 8 billion. I think there's 8 billion people on the planet, roughly. There's 8 billion mirrors on the planet. They're meant to reflect this God who is there. So, kind of helping people understand, who am I? And that's rooted. The Bible has an answer to that. You are someone who's created in the image of God. So you're of value and worth merely because you are a human being. So help them to have that sense of identity. Your identity is not in your wealth. Your identity is not in your physical beauty. Your identity is not in your GPA. Your identity is rooted in who God made you to be. And if you're a Christian, you are one who's been loved and redeemed through Jesus Christ. So talking about that identity before we get then to purpose, like why do you exist? One of the things that our culture struggles with, or our culture teaches, not struggles with, they teach this very explicitly, is that you kind of are the sovereign self. Yeah. Right. You determine why you exist. You determine purpose. You say who you are. So we're going to say, no. The Bible says who you are, and God says who you are through the Bible, and God through the Bible gives you a purpose, right? And so you're not the sovereign self. God is sovereign. He's created you in His image, and He's given you purpose. Kind of this idea that Truman talks about, this expressive individualism. I'm going to have students read an article on this that kind of outlines it. That hey, you don't determine your purpose. Instead, your purpose has been determined and is God-given. right? Isaiah 43:7, God creates us for his glory.
Yeah.
That's why Paul would tell people in 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do for the glory of God. What Paul's doing there is calling people to live and act in accordance with their God-given purpose. Yeah. And so we'll talk about those things in class. So this is practical. It's not just theoretical.
Well, and I think that's because I was just reading it too at our because we're doing the same reading plan, Matthew 7:6. You go through the Sermon on the Mount, and it's all in my notes after reading that was just reinforcing this is not a faith of just knowledge, it's a faith of action, and actions required. So talking through how a Christian acts, I think is a great, I'm glad you're covering that, because it's an easy thing to let go if you're in an academic setting and just trying to talk about theology and history and how we get to where we are. It's like, no, this is practical.
That's
there
right.
are specific ways that Christians are supposed to live that we need to do.
I was just reading, I'm glad you said that. I was just reading, I'm reading George Marston again. I'd skimmed it years before, but I'm reading more carefully this time, The Soul of the American University.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of things he does there, he looks back at the early history of Yale. And early American universities, and universities in general, were very much Christian places. Yeah. And he talks about Yale, and there's this British, and I forget the guy's name, this British man who comes over and visits. And he kind of offers a critique of early Yale spiritual life. And one of the things that he said was they teach about Christianity, but they're not teaching Christianity. And there's a difference, right? And I don't want to go into this class down here and simply teach about Christianity. Here's all this stuff that Christians believe. I want to teach, this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is who we are. This has power, right? So this should impact your life. It's just not a bunch of propositions that we're putting in front of you. These are truths that should shape you, should change you, and should compel you to live and behave in certain ways. Not so that you earn God's favor, right, but because you have God's favor in Jesus Christ. Now go and live that out. So very, very excited to walk in the classroom and unpack some of these things, and hopefully know where to stop each class period.
Well, that was my last question or thought on that one would be how you get to the end of the semester, what for you will define success for that course? Like what are the things you're really hoping to see by the end of it?
Well, hopefully they all pass their exams. So, I think what the success for me will be, students they don't merely know. I mean, that's part of the goal, right? Is you do want, there is intellectual shaping here, right? So we do want this increase of knowledge.
Yeah. If one of the students comes to you the following semester and you ask them, describe the gospel to me, they can answer the question, would be a measure of success.
That's right. That's a measure. But more so for me, I would love to see students be more excited about their faith. So and I don't know how you measure that necessarily, but the affectional component, and those are always tough. Like, how do you measure the affectional side? That's hard to evaluate. But for me, I want them to increase in their understanding of the fundamentals of the faith, but I also want them to experience more joy and excitement for Jesus. That's the ultimate goal. You walk out of the class and you can't exactly define justification, like in Wayne Grudem form,
or remember all the first order things versus the second. Yeah.
But if you are excited about your faith, you're excited about Jesus, you're excited about digging into God's word, being part of a local church, that's a win.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm excited for you and for our students to get into that one. So that's going to take up a lot of the semester of what your day-to-day looks like, but there's a lot more happening in your world and in my world. So what are some of the other pieces that you're looking forward to this semester?
Well, we've got students coming back this weekend. We're actually letting kids move back early if they need to. So if you're watching, this will be out later, so never mind. But we're allowing some students to come back early because of the snow that's coming. If anybody needs to come back early this weekend, they can go ahead and come back. I think they have to check Res Life, but there's sometimes they can move in. So excited to see them back. Sunday night we'll have an all-campus meeting. We do these at the start of every semester to go over some housekeeping things. Excited to see everybody back. But then one of our first events is something we started last year called the 100 Days to Launch Party. You count backwards from commencement, exactly 100 days, and you land on, I think, January 28th or 29th. I can't remember. But we're going to have a banquet for everybody that's graduating in May and be able to encourage them. Michael Methvin from Bolivar's, the superintendent of Bolivar Schools, is going to be there to speak to them and just encourage them. Dr. Melson will be there. I'll be there. Taylor Worley will be there. We've got some videos that are being put together and just kind of an encouragement for our seniors. Hey, finish strong. We want to launch you into this world ready to lead, right? Ready to lead. And do so in a global society to kind of lean into our mission statement. So that's exciting. And then some other things that have been longstanding traditions, like the Mozarkian, the dance that we have, the thing that we do off sites. The Mozarkian is something that I'm excited to see that. The battle, which the Dorm Olympics, those types of competitions, just seeing students engaged in healthy competition and some of these traditions we've had. I'm excited to see those continue this semester.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we're on the admissions side. It's going to ramp up pretty quick. So Scholars Day is one of our traditions. That was one that I kind of learned about when we got here. So it's taking a little bit of a different form this year. So in previous years, it was students come on campus, they interview with faculty members, they write an essay while they're here. Some of them do music auditions for music scholarships, and then they learn a little bit more about next steps and get ready for the fall. And these are all students who've been admitted and have meet the GPA requirement. It's an invitation event, so it's not just open to all students. So this year we're actually taking out the essay component. They had to submit some information, and it's part of their application. That's kind of like a mini essay. But then the day is going to be more about the interview with faculty, which will be sped up. There's going to be, speed dating is the wrong term, but it's the only thing I can come up with that's the closest thing. They'll kind of go through a table of multiple people, and they'll get to sort of judge their aptitude, judge their character, judge their interests. And then they're going to do a group project, which everybody loves. I don't want to spoil what the project is, but it'll be a little bit of a different take to just be able to observe how do they work in a group. Because not only are we looking at students to award extra scholarships too, but this is also part of the Honors College invitation piece too. So you kind of want to see how do these students interact. So for us, it's an opportunity to get to know them better. For them, it's actually an opportunity to get to know each other better, because these will be students that they work together with, they're in school with, many of them for 4 years. And then, so that's January 25th. I forgot to say the date. So Saturday, January 25th is the first one of those. And those invitations have gone out. We've got well over 100 students already coming.
That's awesome.
For that one. We'll do a second one March 1st. So anyone that doesn't make this one, some are maybe haven't applied even to the university yet, they'll get that invitation to March. But anyone who can't make it to January also can come in March. So those are two big events in the spring that have been a historical part of the admissions process for SBU, and really helps us connect with some of those honors eligible students. And then within a couple of weeks, sometimes a week or two, we announce their scholarships that get added to their financial aid award. So that's two big events in the spring. We've got a showcase visit event on a Monday. So it's our only Monday visit event throughout the semester. So that's a great opportunity for students that want to come to chapel and
the showcase. Now, one of them, I know we have different event days. We've got Scholars Day, showcase, but you have one that's specifically for juniors, right?
So Junior Preview Day in April also.
And that's in April. What's that called?
Just Junior Preview Day.
That's just called Junior Preview. There you go.
Yep. We simplified the name on that one.
Was there a different name?
I don't think so. Yeah. It's just kind of called it what it is. We have Bearcat Days.
Bearcat Days.
That's the overnight, and that's in March, the end of March. And then Junior Preview Day is in April.
And that's not an overnight. That's just
that's just I should know. It's a Friday or a Saturday.
That's okay.
Yeah. I should know. But the showcase one, February 17th, is a great opportunity for, anytime you can do a personal visit on a Monday or a Wednesday when we have chapel, but to have a visit event where you got a larger group of students together and bring them to chapel, we definitely encourage even some group visits to come.
Yeah, there's some
for that one.
Yeah. If you can come on a day when there's chapel, that's a pretty energetic day around campus, because we have chapel twice a week. Monday and Wednesdays. Last year we had 700 or so people in chapel every week, almost every day. That always wanes towards the end of the semester.
Yep.
People get their chapel credits in, but
Yeah.
Early on in the semester, chapel's packed, and we've got some great speakers coming in this year. You got Wesley Vance, who's a Missouri. If you're from Missouri, he's the president of the Missouri Baptist Convention. So I think he's the discipleship or executive pastor.
Executive pastor at Springfield.
Springfield at Crossway, at Crossway Baptist Church there, right off of I-64. So he's going to be here. You got someone like Nathan. You got 2 guys from the North American Mission Board. Matt Carter, one of the vice presidents there. He's going to be here to speak. I think he's over church planting mobilization.
Got one of our board members.
One of our board members, Tyler Wilkins, will be here, pastor up in Kansas City. Nathan Milliken, good friend of mine. He and I wrote a book together several years ago with several other people. He's over all of church planting in the state of Indiana. It's not too far from here. That's a lot of fun. Then you got guys from here. I'll preach some. Stedman, Dr. Melson, Dr. Quackenboss will be in the pulpit. Dr. Duvall, one of our deans. Dr. Duvall's title.
He's the dean, but he's also the director of the Blair Center.
Yeah, he's the director of Blair Center, but I was the dean of
College of Arts.
Yeah. So he'll be here. He's also a member over at First Baptist Church where we go to church. So really thankful for Dr. Duvall. He'll be in chapel. So you got some SBU guys. Jacob Banks. I don't think he's ever preached in chapel.
Yeah, I saw his name on the list.
He's going to be preaching. Taylor Worley, our new director of campus experience, got here last year. He's preaching in chapel. So a good mix of outside voices, but man, we are blessed to have people here at SBU that can step into the pulpit and preach God's word. So
absolutely
excited for chapel. So if you're listening and you live in the area or want to come visit, our chapel schedule is online. We'd love to see you. Open invitation to anybody to come over and worship with us.
Yeah, the door's always open, and then we always live stream it on YouTube. So Mondays and
Wednesdays, 10 a.m.
Yeah, it's going to be a great semester of that. So that's kind of the traditional undergraduate Bolivar campus side. We'll do, for any families that are listening, the FAFSA process this year is not perfect, but it's better than last year. So we're still in the process of getting FAFSA data from the Department of Education with the hopes of being able to put together what every college probably calls it something a little different. We call it the award package. So your financial aid award package.
Last year was a mess.
Last year was a mess. This year should be a little better, but it's still delayed from normal. I mean, in a normal year, you would have gotten this around Christmas time or before. Yeah. We're hoping to get it early March, late February. If a lot of things align, we might happen sooner. But then students know their academic scholarship. We tell them that as soon as we know their GPA. But and then for anyone who's skeptical of the FAFSA, I don't want to submit the FAFSA. I mean, that's the only way you know, because they've really expanded Pell Grant eligibility. The state of Missouri has access grants that they give to families, and that is eligible for more people who think that they might not qualify for it because they might be worried that their income is too high. So 1, we require it, but 2, it's just a good thing for families to do anyway, because you may qualify for more than you think you would. Most of these programs require the FAFSA. So that whole piece for us in the spring will ramp up as we'll have individual phone calls with every family to walk them through their award package to help everyone understand this is your academic scholarship. This might be your need-based grant. This might be your athletic scholarship or your music scholarship or what you got from Scholars Day, and kind of putting that all together to help make it more attainable for families to see a sticker price and think, oh my gosh, I can't afford that amount. But then, I mean, the many families are going to get 50% or more off of what the tuition cost is when all of the aid is put together. And just most people don't really know that till you really sit down and kind of see what those numbers look like. And our admissions counselors do a good job of walking through that. So that's the undergrad side, but then we're also going to do a lot for online learning, graduate programs, and then the Doctor of Physical Therapy is going to be a big focus this spring and summer. We have announced that it's going to move to the Springfield campus for fall of 25. So we've communicated that to current students, to incoming students. We've communicated it on campus and with a lot of community leaders. And
it feels like a pretty strategic move for us.
It is.
The Springfield market, that type of program, we really believe is going to flourish down.
Yeah, there are, just from a pure demographic market standpoint, there are more people, there's more clinics, there's more hospitals, there's more housing. So there's a lot of reasons why it makes sense for this kind of a program where you're targeting students in their 20s, maybe early 30s, who are committing to a 3-year program. They have to live wherever the program is for 2 years before they go and do clinicals. So to have it in Springfield is going to bring a lot of advantages and a lot of our students actually already live in Springfield, and some of our faculty already live in Springfield. So it's not maybe as disruptive as a move of a program could be, because there are already a lot of things down there, and we have a campus down there already with space that can accommodate the students. But as part of that, we're trying to recruit a full class of 80 physical therapy students, and we're going to be hosting online webinars for students. Our admissions team has been working with other colleges that we have partnerships with to make it clear to the students that their programs that might be interested in physical therapy know all the details about the change. And so there'll be a lot of resources we put into making that a really successful move for the PT program down in Springfield. So yeah, a lot happened on the recruiting side.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Good.
So we also, with the podcast, are going to hope to bring in some good guests this spring.
Yeah,
You mentioned some of the chapel speakers we'll bring in, some other internal folks from SBU. So I'm looking forward to what the podcast schedule is going to look like.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think having some of the chapel speakers come over after chapel and sit down and be able to talk with people, talk to the NAM guys about church planting. One of the things that we'd love to see students here do is get a heart for that, and you get a degree out of the Redford School or any program and go be part of a church plant somewhere. We want to see churches popping up around the country. That would be exciting, and just be able to engage some of these speakers that get a chance to preach, but maybe pick their brains about some other things that are going on. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and part of that scheduling with different guests and hoping, and those happen usually Mondays or Wednesdays when chapel speakers are in. So you'll see this episode be posted on a Tuesday. We're going to try this schedule throughout the spring of episodes getting posted on a Tuesday, but they might get recorded kind of at different points of the week. So we're recording this on a Thursday before students come back. But that'll be our consistent posting time for this semester will be on Tuesdays. So just look for all new episodes to post on Tuesdays throughout the spring. Certainly encourage sharing it and getting more people subscribed. And
one day we should just do a live
feed,
live stream and have people pop in and ask questions. That'd be fun.
We could do that.
Try that.
We have the technology to do a live.
Well, we do have.
podcast.
We do have.
Yeah.
You push the little button up there and it goes.
It's that simple.
Live. There you go. Is it Facebook Live or something like that?
On that,
I have no idea.
Probably not.
I
don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, excited.
Yeah,
for this semester, lots to do.
Great. A lot of stuff to do, but we'll get it done.
We will.
We'll get something done.
We'll get something done, and we'll get somewhere. That's the goal. That's right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will be back with our next episode next week, and to a great semester.